Hi again, guys. Nick here with Creation Army TV. Thanks for watching, and as always, please subscribe to my channel. I always have new tutorials coming. And also, I'm on Twitter and Facebook, so follow me on there. So, if you've watched some of my previous videos, I have several regarding appearance, how to use the appearance palette. If you haven't checked those out, you might be a little lost in this video. This is kind of an advanced video when talking about appearance. So in those previous videos, you'll remember that I talked about how to construct an object. Let's say I make this white star, and then using the appearance palette up here in the top right of my screen, I can control precisely how many strokes it gets. Let's say I want to add this blue stroke. Maybe I want to add yet another stroke below that and make it, red. Maybe I want to take the entire star and maybe give it a drop shadow. Let's hit preview. So you've seen this before, and hopefully you went ahead and made your own examples. I create a complex appearance. Maybe I'll store it in the graphic styles palette for later use so I can apply it to other objects. So we all are familiar with that concept. Now, these are single objects, and it's fine if you want to do a complex appearance on one object, but oftentimes in the world of graphic design, you'll run into situations where you have to make a group of objects. You can't just make one, and you have to give the entire group a custom appearance. And here's how you do it. It's very simple. Let's start with this simple example here on this layer, group 1. Sometimes you'll get a project where you have to write a title and then a subtitle, and you'll have to group them together and then give the entire thing, let's say, a drop shadow, or let's say you have to give the entire thing two outlines, a blue and an orange or something. So to do that, you would construct your type however you need to. If I hit A on the keyboard, I'll direct select, and so title here is just arched upwards. Subtitle is a different font. It's moved down. It's arched the other way. And then you grab both objects and you group them together. I'm going to do that with Command G on a Mac or Control G on a PC. Or, of course, you would go up to Object and Group right here. So you'd group them together. Now, you're going to see in the appearance palette now that it doesn't say Object or Text or anything. It actually says Group. And these are the contents. This line right here represents the contents of the group, and the contents are the word title and the word subtitle, just two objects. So if you go up to your group, your appearance palette, as before when we did this with single objects, all you have to do is hit add new stroke, and you'll notice that a stroke is added here, and it's actually above the contents. I'll zoom in one time on title subtitle, and I'll bump up the weight of stroke, and you'll see what's happening. It's starting to choke out the letters, and in the world of typography, that's kind of a no-no, so I don't like to do that. What I do is I take this stroke and actually drag it below the contents. I'm just clicking on it, sort of in this outside gray area here in the appearance palette, dragging it below the contents. So now my stroke is behind my fill, and I'll make it thicker like this. I will make it blue, and then let's say I'll use the transform effect. I have an entire tutorial on the transform effect. It's enlightening. I encourage you to watch it. You can watch it now. It's on my channel. So I'll use the transform effect on this stroke to create the illusion that the text is extruded. So that's located here under Effect, Distort, and Transform, Transform. And I want, let's say, 9 copies, and I want each one to be, 99.5, the size of the last one. And maybe I can move them down a little bit, maybe like 0.25, something like that. And so now we're creating this sort of fake extrusion, and you'll notice that that stroke is applied to the entire group. So not only does it appear here on the word title, but it also appears here subtly on subtitle. And then after that, what I like to do is duplicate this stroke by dragging it down to the new icon. Now I've got another one here. I'll make this one orange and just increase the weight. And so now we've got a group with 2 strokes on it, and these strokes again are below the contents. Always pay attention to that. Your appearance palette in fact tells you that it is a group, and that it has 2 strokes. So the beauty of this is that you've got your group here and all the contents are still fully editable. So I can write anything I want here. Let's say Superman, and then, you know, battle for Smallville, or something like, you know, to that effect. And our nice 2 strokes, I know they're a little weird here because, you know, the font is sharp, but so this allows you to make fully editable groups and artwork, and whatever change you make to the group, the sort of appearance happens after that and sort of obeys the shape of the group of objects. Here's another great example of putting a grouped appearance on text. I just saw this the other day in my fridge. We've got a container with feta cheese, and so I decided to incorporate that into this tutorial. Here's how to make something that would go onto a retail container. Our container is light blue, sort of like this background. I'll actually get rid of the grouped appearance for now, just to show you how I build it. So as we look at this now, we've just got white text, and it's on a blue background. You know, I've got the word all natural written in Clarendon. It's arched up. And feta cheese is just, there's no appearance whatsoever. It's just written feta, enter, cheese. And it's just made white in copper plate bold. There's no effect applied to this at all. And then I made a rectangle down here, pointed one end, reflected it over on the other side, and I put a star in the middle. So you take this entire piece and you group it together. Again, Command G or Object Group. You group it all together, and then, you know, to help separate it out from the background and add a little bit of visual interest to this, what I noticed on the package is that it had an outer glow. So let's see, we've got our group here in the palette, and I'm going to add my outer glow so that it's below the contents. So I'll just hit the FX, that's add new effect right here. I'm going to add new effect, stylize, outer glow, and what I applied was a very simple screen outer glow. Its opacity mode, in other words, was screen, which would make it lighter. It's white. I'll hit preview. Its opacity is 100%, so it's pretty, you know, visible. You know, there's a very visible glow here, and it's blurred 3 pixels. So that's sort of step 1. Okay, it's already looking a little bit more inviting. It's looking angelic, like it's this nice feta cheese. And then after that, what I applied was a drop shadow. So you'd come to same place, stylize, drop shadow. And the drop shadow is very subtle. It was, I think it was 15% opacity. I'll hit preview and we'll see what we get. Okay, so this is very dark. So the opportunity is to lower the opacity maybe to like something like 20. So it's a little more subtle. Let's go even 15. And then with this palette, you can push the drop shadow to the side by adjusting the X offset. Let's maybe stick with 10. And then you can push it up and down with the Y offset. So I'll hit OK. And of course it's a color drop shadow. I tend to not like shadows that are made of pure black because you get this sort of this dirty, see how it's sort of greenish. I don't like that. But what I like to do is use one of my existing color swatches for my shadow. And so it's a little bit softer, a little bit more inviting with this blue. So now the words all natural feta cheese are now, they have the appearance that they are dimensional, that they are not resting directly on the blue background. And that, not that they're 3D or anything, but adding a little bit of dimensionality to your design can really help in any situation. And of course, the beauty of this is that I can always edit what this text says. So if my client says we don't want it to say all natural anymore, we want it to say organic. So now you can oh, sorry, I chose the wrong thing. Now you can adjust this entire thing, and your grouped appearance, which was the glow and the drop shadow, now obeys the contents of the group. All right, so I'll hide that. And talk about this snowman that I made the other day. So here's an example. The previous two examples were just grouped appearances on text objects, but you don't have to make text at all. You can make, let's say, a snowman. So this snowman is made up of a few different pieces, and after you make your snowman, you can put a fill behind him. I've got a blue fill here, and I've pushed it out with offset path, and so it appears like it's this blue stroke, and that goes evenly around him on the outside, and it's below his contents. And then after that, I've got this lighter blue fill, which is pushed out with offset path even more, and it glows just a very subtle amount. And then the final fill is this dark blue fill. Now where is that dark blue fill? You don't see it on his perimeter. You actually see it down here, and it's acting as his shadow. If you saw some of my videos on the transform effect, you'll remember that, I'll click this, you'll remember that you can transform an individual fill or stroke in the appearance palette. In this case, this blue fill, which is its opacity mode is multiply, is looking like a shadow because it is stretched out horizontally 200% wider than the group, and it is squashed down to 10% of its height. It's also moved down 130 pixels so that it's down here at the base of the snowman, and it's not rotated or anything. The cool thing is, if my snowman falls over, or if he rotates this way, the shadow notice how the shadow changed. So it's almost like he's casting this natural shadow, when in fact this shadow is actually a fill that is exactly in this shape. It's just been squashed and moved down, just like a natural shadow would be. So that's another way, another great way of using appearance on an entire group of objects. I'll hide that. You can also use appearance on symbols. I'll do a video in the near future about how to use symbols. The beauty of symbols is that you can just make one piece of artwork, you can duplicate it all over your artboard, and if you realize later that there needs to be a change made to one or all of them, then you can just go in and edit, make your edit inside of the symbols palette, and everything will be updated no matter how many times you use this in the document. I could use it 5,000 times and all of them will be twins basically. But getting back to grouped appearance on symbols, I can take one of these symbols, and you'll see that in the appearance palette it says symbol and the contents of the symbol. So I can take a, let's say I can add a new fill, and so this new black fill covers the symbol in its entirety, and that is above the contents. And let's say I'm gonna do one. I want to make my button look almost like it's transparent with a thin white border. So I'll take this upper fill here, I'll make it blue, I'll make it very light in color, let's say screen it back to about 20%. I will use effect, offset path is located here, so I'll pull it in 2 pixels. I'm going to go -2. So now it is being pulled in, and we can see the black fill that is occurring below it. The black fill that occurs below it, I'm going to change to white, and then of course I'm going to take this original fill which is on top that I just offset -2, and I'll pull the opacity down to maybe 20%, and I'm going to take the entire symbol and check knockout. So again, I'll do a video in the near future about the beauty of knockout, but now this fill, which is 20% opacity, is allowing us to actually see through it down to the objects below. So this might be a great way to make, you can make the shape of your button and store it as a symbol. This, let's say you're designing a website concept in Illustrator, and these will be all my buttons in their base shape, but I want to apply a custom appearance to every one of them separately using the appearance palette. And you can store this in the graphic styles palette, and then you can apply it to anything that you want to. Or if you have to make an adjustment later on, you go, hey, I didn't think -2 is enough, I'll change it to 4, I'll store that, So it's up to you. And the cool thing is, here's where the adjustment comes in. If you realize that the maybe the radius on your roundy button is too much, or that they are also not large enough, you can always go into your symbols palette. You can make your adjustment. You can say, all right, they all need to be this wide. They all need to, I'm going to take the round corners down to maybe 5 points. And so now they're overlapping, but now every button has that new base shape, and the grouped appearance, or the complex appearance, is now applied to these two symbols. So that's a great way to use grouped appearance too. You can use them on symbols. Another way is to, let's say you make envelopes. I will be making, again, a video in the near future about envelope distortion. So you can write, let's say you're doing something for the Tigers Little League baseball team. You can just write Tigers, and you can make the tail and write Little League on top of it. You group it all together. Forgive me, you don't group it all together. You actually take this whole thing, place it in an envelope distortion, which goes beyond the scope of this video, but you take the envelope, which you can see here in the appearance palette says envelope, and you can add strokes and fills below the contents. And that's what I've done here. I've made a new fill, I've offset it, it's orange, and that appears to be this orange outline around everything. And the blue fill is pushed out even farther, and then it's transformed to appear like a drop shadow. And it looks like it's going to the left and down. And once again, the great thing about this is I can go in here and write or change the name of the team to anything I want to. If they change their name to the Heat, now I can just make one simple change, and my grouped appearance follows suit. All right, so the second to last thing we'll talk about here is blends. I use blends all the time, and sometimes you'll make a blend. I'll just hide these for now. Sometimes you'll make a blend and you go, oh, that's great, I got my green star going to my pink star over here, but they all need to have a white outline, and I need a drop shadow. So you can take this entire blend and treat it like a group, and you can just add a white stroke to the entire blend. Again, I'm not adding this to any single particular object. The entire blend gets a white stroke. And then I'll add this, what I did here was I made a custom drop shadow. I know it says fill here, but sometimes I'll make my own custom drop shadows by making fills, and I'll transform them and blur them and change them to multiply. There are advantages to this versus the regular drop shadow effect in Illustrator, and I'll get into that some other time. But I've made a custom drop shadow here by adding a second fill to the entire blend. So the last thing I'll show you is a layered appearance. So I'm using the layers palette over here and exposing certain artwork. So every piece of artwork that is on this layer appears to have a drop shadow. But look carefully at this star. This star, as we look at it in the appearance palette, just has a white fill. There's no drop shadow anywhere here. Same goes for the text. The same goes for this blend and the word blend over here. There's no drop shadow on these at all. So why do they appear that they have this dark blue drop shadow? The reason is this entire layer has a drop shadow. So everything that I make on this layer, everything that I place on this layer, will have that drop shadow. Here's how to, there's two ways to achieve that. Number one, you can click this target, this circle on the appearance palette, and notice how everything gets selected. That's number one. But number two, you now gain control in the appearance palette of the entire layer. You can see the word layer here, and the contents are everything that are on the layer, everything that's on the layer, the contents, and after that there's been a drop shadow applied. All I've done is click this and apply a drop shadow. The other way to control the entire layer's appearance is to just choose one object on the layer, and you'll see that I have type, characters, opacity, but you'll see the word layer up here. If you click layer one time, now you can start applying a custom appearance to the entire layer. One thing to watch out for is if I move text over to the star so that they're touching, you'll notice that the drop shadow is not visible on either object. You would think that text, which is casting this nice shadow, and the star, which is casting this nice shadow, you'd think that that shadow would appear on the star itself or on the word text. as if one was casting a shadow onto the other. And it's just not so. And the reason is, again, going back to the appearance palette, is this drop shadow is appearing below the contents of the entire layer. So you can move these together all you want to, but that drop shadow is always going to appear after or below the objects. Another great use for this, you can take the entire layer, you can add a fill to the entire layer. And notice how when I hit new fill right here, notice how everything now is coded in black. I didn't actually change the fill or the appearance of any of these objects. All I did was I took the entire layer and I coated it with like coating things with a coat of paint. Everything is now colored black because the fill exists above the contents of this layer. And you can change this to your heart's content. You can change it however you want to. Now everything is coated in this orange color, no matter what they look like below that. So this is one of the more rare things that you might do with grouped appearance. There have only been a few times in my entire career that I've had to apply an appearance to an entire layer, but it's nice to know that you now have the tools to do that. And again, it doesn't matter what version of Illustrator you're using. These concepts of grouped appearance that we've talked about in this video apply to almost any version of Illustrator. So thank you for joining me in this video. Again, I'll be doing future videos very soon, probably talking about knockout. Maybe I'll be talking about controlled masking. But thanks for watching. Open up Illustrator, try out some of these concepts, and save yourself a bunch of time by doing grouped appearance. Thanks for joining me. I'm Nick with Creation Army TV. Take care.